The battle of consoles, Xbox versus PlayStation, has come to an end.
What? Really?
That was one of the longest running rivalries of all time in video game history. But the final result is that Xbox has lost the battle. PlayStation has become one of the most successful gaming consoles in the market. On the other hand, Xbox is still doing weird stunts to keep the race going. Despite having the backup of Microsoft, Xbox still couldn't manage to win the race. In this video, I'll explain the reason for the console's war's final result, what exactly Xbox did wrong and PlayStation did right. The biggest reason for PlayStation's success is their choice of patronizing new talent and original contents. The first rule to succeed in any kind of creative field is to hunt down unknown talents and use them to create unique stuff and new business models. If you always work with the big names, in some cases it can earn you good money, but raw talented people with their different approach and outlook can often come up with something crazy good, and the profit ratio turns out to be crazy too. PlayStation did exactly that. Look at the studios PlayStation bought before they gave their biggest hits. Sony bought Sucker Punch Productions in 2011. During that time, Sucker Punch made the Sly Cooper series and Infamous, both of which were moderate successes, and they were working on Infamous too. Sucker Punch Productions was not a very big name back then.
I may be small, but I took Kung Fu when I was 13.
But Sony saw potential in that gaming studio and bought it. In 2020, Sucker Punch released their biggest hit, which is Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was an instant hit. People were eagerly waiting for it from the time when they uploaded a cinematic plus gameplay trailer before some years its release. That trailer was beautiful. All of the gamers were waiting for a AAA game based in Japan, and Ghost of Tsushima was exactly that. A beautiful action-adventurous game with good acting performances, a well-written story, and a well-crafted combat system. Guess what? Ghost of Tsushima became one of PlayStation 4's fastest selling original games and sold almost 10 million copies. So what does it prove? It proves that focusing on small potential talent can lead to heavy successes. But this is not the sole reason for PlayStation's success. Another important reason is the management of PlayStation studios can find the perfect small studios with the perfect job. For example, Guerrilla Games Studio made a third-person shooter game during their debut release. After that, they made a bunch of first-person shooter games known as the Killzone series. Sony bought Guerrilla Games in 2005 just after they released their first game, Shell Shock Nam 67, which was released in 2004.
My squad! Medic!
Sony saw the studio's potential and acquired that. After making a bunch of shooting games, this studio made a AAA post-apocalyptic open-world action role-playing game called Horizon Zero Dawn. This game was a huge hit and received positive reviews from game critics and gamers. Horizon Zero Dawn sold more than 10 million copies, and it became one of the most successful new IPs of PlayStation Studios. PlayStation does this all the time. Sony bought Naughty Dog Studio in 2011. Though Naughty Dog made some successful games before Sony bought them, but their biggest hit and some of the biggest names in video game history were made and released after they were bought by Sony. Naughty Dog made The Last of Us and Uncharted series, one of the two biggest names in gaming history and are two of the most beloved franchises of all time.
Now, the girl, is she alive?
What girl? I don't know no girl.
Both of them were adapted in different mediums. The Last of Us was made into an HBO TV series, and Uncharted was made into a big budget movie where the main cast was Tom Holland and Wahlberg. PlayStation always focused on creating original IPs. Even in modern years like 2017 and 2020, Sony released original IPs like Horizon Zero Dawn and Ghost of Tsushima. They are not afraid to release completely new games which have no previously established fan bases. They always take bold steps, and they always focus on potential future talent and original contents. This is what made them successful. On the other hand, most of the time Xbox does exactly the opposite. Though Xbox has some exclusives like the Gears of War series and Forza Horizon series, but they don't have a thing for new original IPs. They don't have a focus on exclusive games either.
I'm doing the best I can!
When Xbox released Xbox 360, they were ready to show off with an original title called Son of Rome. It was supposed to be the game changer. Son of Rome was a very good looking game for that era. It had some crowd-attracting gameplay mechanisms such as wire combat and some really good finishing moves. Everybody was expecting an Xbox exclusive game that will challenge PlayStation exclusive games and create history. Then the game was released. If I have to be polite, I'll simply say the game didn't create any history. Son of Rome was not a horrible game from any angle. It was just not as good as Uncharted 3 or the first Last of Us game. Some game critics call the game a very uninspired game with a plain combat mechanism. Son of Rome was praised for its high graphical visuals. It also had some of the most brilliantly created dynamic environments. The game was gorgeous looking. The character animation was also fluid. During the combat, those fluid animations shined a lot. So what was the problem? The game was extremely repetitive. The level design was boring. You have to do the same kind of thing over and over. The narrative structure of the game was too basic and the story had nothing special. When someone plays the Son of Rome for the first time, the beautiful fluid animations would feel great, but that feeling will stay with the player for only an hour or two. After that, the same type of combat will feel boring. It's like the Assassin's Creed's Valhalla. At first, it is kind of interesting. After some time, you will realize you have to do the exact same thing over and over to progress in the game. It was also criticized for its length. A game that had a AAA budget and a game with a full $60 price tag had a 6.5-hour main campaign. It was unbelievable, though the repetitiveness of the game turned the short length into a blessing actually. But none of them was a good sign for the game. So the great Xbox 360 release did not happen. Later, Microsoft bought Bethesda for $7.5 billion. Why did they do that?
Because to make money?
Because Bethesda has a huge fan following for their Fallout and Elder Scrolls franchise. Bethesda is also releasing their new space exploration open world role-playing game called Starfield, so they will release that as an Xbox exclusive. Microsoft is also buying Activision Blizzard in a record $69 billion deal. Why? Because Activision Blizzard has Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo and Warcraft franchises. Those are very famous IPs. They spent $76.5 billion to acquire some very famous studios so that people play Xbox games. $76.5 billion.
A bit much, innit?
On the other hand, PlayStation exclusive Ghost of Tsushima was made with only $60 million, 2018's God of War had a $200 million budget, Horizon Zero Dawn was made with $50 million, Uncharted 4 was made with $50 million, and Marvel Spider-Man was made with $100 million. All of those games were a huge success. Uncharted 4, God of War, and Spider-Man earned more than $1 billion each. PlayStation did incredible business while delivering some of the greatest games in the history of video games. On the other hand, Xbox just wanted to earn the big bucks by taking the shortcut. They kept on buying already established big studios with big money so that they could have granted success. That is not the right practice.
It's wrong. Wrong!
Xbox could make more than 500 original games with the amount they bought two famous studios. We could have 500 original exclusive games for Xbox, and even if 5% of those 500 games were good, that would deliver 25 good exclusive games for Xbox. People would have gone crazy and moved to Xbox as early as they could. 25 exclusive games are way too much to handle for even PlayStation, and they would have gone crazy too. Xbox could have easily owned the War only if they could do the right thing, but in life, very few times we get what we want, very few times we get the touch of good things. That is why Xbox didn't choose to focus on potential talent and they lost the console war. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe if you like the video and want more gaming related content like this. Until next time, tada!